Hey everyone, welcome back to the episode of Friends from Work. I'm Tom, this is Sean, and on today's episode we are going to be breaking down and reviewing HBO Max's hit series, The Last of Us, Season 1 of course. But before we do that, do us a favor, leave a like right now, subscribe down below, follow us on TikTok and Instagram, links are down the screen and down below. Other than that, we're going to get right into it.
Spoilers.
There you go. We have a lot to praise about this. I already have the score in my head. We're obviously going to save it to the end. But I want to, obviously we're going to discuss the original source material, compare and contrast that. But that's going to be a big discussion. So I want to avoid that from the start because I know we're going to ramble a lot about that. So I want to give its praise elsewhere. In general, this show is just absolutely phenomenal. The cinematography is what I really want to give credit to. I've never really noticed it. And I was paying extra attention for this show just because I'm such a huge fan of the game and I had this high expectation and it met it and exceeded it, honestly. And Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann called it. I didn't listen to the episode 9 podcast, but as you guys know, if you were watching the show, they were releasing companion podcast episodes right after it. I didn't listen
to any. I think I listened to some clips of one of them.
Yeah, they do like the clips at the end of the episode of the actual show, but I listened to all of them except for episode 9, unfortunately. So I don't know what they said, but the cinematography is like they enhance the storytelling. So like, I want to name some certain scenes. Like, I would say the first one that kind of started off was when Tess got infected, and like that, the one was trying to like make out with her in a way, but exchanged it. It was like they called it like, it was like a love scene, but like for tragedy. Like it was like it was very Shakespeare. Like they're doing like a Hollywood answer, but like it makes sense in that context. One that really stuck out to me personally though was the whole Sam's death and Sam's demise. We cannot say the other word.
Oh.
Yeah, we can't say that, so we're going to say demise for this episode.
Yeah.
That one, because you would just see Henry focusing on the blood of Sam on the floor, just dripping out. It never showed Sam's body ever. Yeah. It just focused on Henry's face and what Henry was seeing the whole time. It gave that really cool perspective, built up the emotion too, which was really good. And then obviously Henry met his unfortunate demise, and it still had that same emotional pull we had in the original game.
Oh, I was confused what word we weren't saying.
Yeah.
Like, he demised himself.
Yes. We can't say the other word. We're monetized now. I was about to say this before. I was going to tell you, but I was like, screw it.
That's my biggest worry. I just blurt stuff out.
Yeah.
I agree. The cinematography was great. I found a lot of times I was just like, where the hell did they find this place? Like, where did they get all the people to leave so they can shoot this shot? Like,
I want to know the budget. I should have Googled it beforehand, but like, the budget for some of this had to be because the CGI.
When they're driving with the tanks, like, was those CGI tanks? Were those real? Like, that was awesome. There was a bunch of just beautiful scenes. Even in this last one that were ripped right from the game. It was just like, man, this is a great show. I think, not to get too much into it, everybody who's going to make reimagine a game into a show should really take heed of what they did in this. And really just do all the things they did. Because they really nailed a video game. Like, I can't even think of one that's even close to as good as this. A video game to a movie or a show that's like...
Everything's at most mid.
Yeah. I'm going to try and rack my brain.
You said Uncharted was the closest. But that was pretty
Uncharted's like a prequel. Yeah, it was like a middle
But
of the
they took
movie.
like stuff from the games that were already out.
Some of the stuff, but like nothing like...
major.
Nothing that like you could be like, oh, well, they changed that. Like maybe like some stuff like they mentioned that.
The whole car scene when he was jumping out of that plane.
That
wasn't in one of those like.
But a different scene. Like it wasn't that. Like it was. He did it before, I guess. I don't know. But this is like before. This is the first mission.
Yeah.
So Uncharted's like when you start, you've been knowing that guy and all type of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Last of Us. It was really good. The Sam and Henry scene was good. The stories that they added, if we're not going to talk about the game, the storylines they added to some of the game missions were awesome. The Sam and Henry storyline was completely made up with the Raiders, or they're not the Raiders. There were something.
The Revolutionists.
The Revolution. Yeah, that was made up. That wasn't in the game.
The expansion. I put that in there. The expansion of what they did with the characters, and or completely changed stories. Yeah. So they did that really well with this series.
Yeah, and they picked and choose where they could change it and it would be fine.
Yes.
But the same with Nick Offerman. I can't think of his character's name. Bill and his lover.
Was it Pete?
I don't know. I can't remember.
I meant to Google it again. If you want to look it up, so I don't want to misquote. But I'll go on that too. Then you have a little time. But the expansion on the characters is absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, with Bill, Sam and Henry's story. It was just really they just ran into him randomly, and that was it. And it was like they were dealing with a bunch of raiders in the video game, but in the show, it was like this whole arc that made sense. Like Henry, I'm looking at the time. Okay, we can't say now. Henry killed a guy. That was the brother of the lady that was chasing them. So it was like had this really cool integral part. It was like, well, he's not really a bad guy. She's just trying to get revenge for his brother, because who wouldn't? Because that's kind of like the same thing that happens in the show overall. You're protecting family, love.
Yeah, it was like a Walking Dead thing where like nobody's a bad guy. Where like obviously she's pissed. He snitched on her brother to get him killed, but he had to, or his brother was gonna die. Yeah. It was like she would have done the same thing. Yes. She's trying to be holier than thou, but the way she portrayed she loved her brother, she would have sold Henry out to save her brother. Yeah. And it's like that's a lot of the times where like it's just like tough shit, I don't care type where it's like it gets lost in translation where like they can't forgive people for doing something they obviously would have been weak enough to do themselves. Like if the way that girl was behaving, she would have sold Henry out for her brother. She would have sold any one of them out for her brother.
100%.
To kill one of them for her brother.
She even kind of was not selling them out, but like putting them at over risk for vengeance.
Just for revenge. And like he's not even a threat to them either. No, not only that, like they already took over and killed.
They won.
They were in charge. So like it was like you said, just a complete got them all killed. Yeah. For some revenge stuff. So it was like, was it all worth it in the end? Where it's like, could have just let bygones be bygones, and you guys might have survived.
And that was Craig Mazin's goal with this show, and I gotta give him super credit here because he did the right thing. He was a true fan of the game. He brought on Neil Druckmann. He's like, I'm not doing this show without you. And that was, if you guys don't know, that is the creator of the original video game. So I think it was very integral and very important for him to do that, to have him there. So then, if Neil or Craig were doing something wrong that wasn't proper for the original story, they would correct each other right away. So I think that was really good for them. But Craig was always saying, every episode I listened to the podcast, he was saying, like, this is a love story. He's like, not what you think. It's not, oh, it's true love, happy ending. He's like, how far does a parent's love go for someone? How far does like a family, like, how far does someone go for love? That we have all the, the typical stuff that we see in romances, very happy stuff, but also like, I will kill every single person to get to my child, like that type of thing. And he was trying to demonstrate that with every perspective, so it wasn't so black and white. His goal was to make everything just so gray and murky that you couldn't be like, well, they're a bad guy. Like, yeah, you can be like, oh, this guy's kind of an ass, but like you can't be 100% mad at. I forgot that girl's name, but
Marlene,
not Marlene. The revolutionist leader. Marlene's the girl, the black girl.
Wasn't she the leader of the revolutionary?
You're thinking of the Fireflies.
Oh, you're talking. Okay.
Yeah. I'm talking about Sam and Henry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that little arc. Or Sam and Henry themselves. Like he's willing to risk, willing to leave Joel and Ellie at a heartbeat notice, stuff like that. Maybe I'm confused with the video game, but Tommy. I will bring up Tommy too. That's later down the show, but Tommy wasn't really to risk it because he's starting his own family and stuff like that. But
it was showing that like family is the most important. But he had another family now. Yeah. It was always just him and Joel.
Yeah, and now he has his whole family with him and Marie. But then he was also like, well, screw it, I gotta do it. He has family, I love him. So it's like showing. They did a really good job of doing like subtle little stories like that, and then also like obviously big episodes, episodic stories.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. The family stuff, I think. A lot of shows nowadays, it isn't like that.
Or it's really cliche.
Yeah, the brotherhood's really cheesy.
Yeah.
Or it's like every man for themselves. And I like that, like him and Tommy were real brothers. They hadn't seen each other for a while, and they just had this brotherhood that like now I feel like would been deemed toxic because they were just like always trying to help each other and doing bad stuff to keep each other safe. And like that's just life. And I was glad, like, it was nice to see Tommy be like, fine, I'll take her.
Yeah.
You can't handle it. And then, again, Joel changing his mind and saying, you know what, Ellie doesn't want to go with you.
I mean, we'll do our best not to discuss it, but I will just include, we're going to have to compare and contrast throughout this episode, but I'll do our best because I know we're going to have a big rant towards the end of it. But, like, the difference was here for that scene when he's like, take Ellie for you. Joel was just in the video game. He was like a hard ass. He's like, nah, I feel nothing for her, this and that. But then, very contrast to the show, which worked perfectly. He was bawling his eyes. I was like, I can't protect her. I can't do. Like he was like very vulnerable, and it was a different perspective, but it worked for the show, and it didn't like felt drawn of the character because you saw it because like and if you look at it like he was losing a lot like Ellie had to come save him when they first got to the Revolutionists because he was getting choked out. When Sam and Henry got the jump on them because he was deaf on one ear, couldn't really hear, and then that got jump on them. And then same thing with when the whole people surrounded them, but that was Tommy's people, but he didn't know. He's like, oh, I put her in danger again. And obviously Tess, who passed, that was a big part of it. Just Sarah's been the overwhelming thing with the PTSD with that. And they're just showing like it's breaking Joel, and I think it was a cool perspective to add on to that character. It wasn't so copy and paste.
He didn't want to build that bond. Well, in the game too, they don't have time to build that backstory, so it's easier to just say he's a hard ass.
Yes,
because you can't say he's a softie and then not explain all the stuff that happened and like kind of give you some of it.
Yeah.
So that's where the show, which was smart, that's where they used their wiggle room to build some backstory, give us some history of what's going on, and then maybe could change a little bit of it. And like I said, it worked. I don't even remember Joel being such a hard. This is like the version of Joel I remember now. Like, I don't remember him being like a super hard ass in the game.
No, like he was pretty badass for the most part, but excuse me,
there was like no crying.
No, which added good to the show. I mean, like Sean said, you couldn't really do that in the video game. Maybe it wouldn't hit as much. Only time we saw that was when Sarah passed, but other than that. He was a hard ass all the time. Pardon for the interruption, guys. But as I was saying, the overall overarching story theme, I should say, of the show is love and how far it goes and this and that. And it was showing. Actually, we'll get into this episode. Speak about love. Episode 3. That was actually Sean says is that still your favorite with Bill?
No, I think the second to last one is now with the crazy religious guy.
Yeah, that was great.
That one. Great. But before that, I would say yes. The one with Bill was the best. I just thought it was written really well. I mean, if you have been paying attention to us, I have my occasional LGBTQ rants. But like I said, I'm fine with the gay storylines if you know what I mean. It works, and you're not forcing it into like. Yeah. Personally, people are complaining about it. I've seen the last stuff, but like Ellie is in the game. Yeah. Bill was. You find out Bill was. So it's like, and they weren't like doing any. They were just two dudes living in a town. So it wasn't like there was this weird narrative. And it's like in reality, like that probably would happen a lot when the world goes to shit and you're living in a town all by yourself. Yeah. Like, no matter who shows up, you're just gonna be swinging that way. If it's a girl or boy, just roll the dice. Whoever pulls up. But I really like that one. That was really good. They showed like you got to see like before the outbreak and how he didn't trust the government, how he was staying in his house.
God, that's so fire.
And how him building his town up and like I thought that episode was awesome. That was probably my favorite one up until. I think I probably even liked that one better than the finale. But I think the best episode to me was 8, the one where
with Ellie's.
Where Ellie's they're gonna chop her up and eat her or whatever.
The cannibal people.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That was a great episode. But regarding the Bill episode, I really liked it because, like we said earlier, it was like it expanded. It took a 2-minute scene from the game where it was like we knew Bill was like such a dick the whole game to Joel and Ellie and all that. And then it just expanded on it and just turned this whole thing of like the whole love story talking about what was his name?
Frank.
Frank. It was Frank. Thank you, Frank. Talk about Frank and like the 2 minutes he's like he was my partner like in the game, and then you kind of got the innuendo. Yeah. But that was Bill's character. He's a hard ass, and same. And also during that time it was 2003 in the show, so obviously it wasn't as accepting back then. This and that and the third, so it would be. More regular, comical, more of a regular occurrence. For it to be closeted.
Yeah, it was much more out of place in 2003 compared to 2013.
Yeah, so that was a neat thing, and like I said, the whole building, and then one that I did not like though, this dampened with the score, is that we never got interaction with Bill and Ellie because that was always iconic in the game because Ellie's such a smart ass and Bill's such like a conservative, like in his fucking little box, don't touch my shit, and that was the whole thing. And I wish we saw that like a little interaction.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't do that. That was weird to me because I thought that like they were staying so true to that. Yeah, but I guess after that episode they wanted to give him a send off. Yeah, so I guess.
But yeah, Nick Offerman absolutely cuz. I mean, that's a perfect person to cast.
Yeah, he played that role great, and it's like the episode where him and Tess come and meet him for the first time, and Joel.
That's so funny. He's just like, "Can you please get your gun off the table?" And
Yeah.
he just puts it down. It's so funny. But yeah, no, the Bill episode is, I'd probably agree, one of my favorites. Just because Nick Offerman killed it.
Yeah.
And it got me wanting more of him. Like, I
Yeah.
wish that was I guess that's why I gave it a couple points off, just because I never got to see Bill interact now. But he was old as shit then. Like, they showed him, like, Nick Offerman's actual age, and then it made sense, though. Like, it's been 20 years. He's old as shit. Same thing with Frank. He couldn't walk anymore. So I guess it makes sense why he wasn't, but he was in his own little world. But it made sense, practically speaking. So I'm not 100% mad at it, but I am slightly disappointed that we did not get to see Ellie and Bill interaction, because that was funny as shit in the game, because Ellie runs her mouth and then Bill does not want to tolerate that shit at all.
And she's like touching everything.
She is always touching shit. So yeah, that would have been really interesting to see. So now I'm pretty sure I cleared everything out. Oh, I do want to discuss the CGI. I'm just give it a quick shout out because, like I said, I want to know what the budget was, because the one thing that stuck out to me the most, because they use Weta, and Weta is like used for everything. Like, that's top notch CGI team, and like that had to be huge, because remember the finale, the giraffe. I honestly I've never questioned CGI until that. Like, truly, I'm not even trying to hype up the show more than I am, I guess. But I looked at the giraffe. I'm like, did they hire an actual giraffe? Because like, it looked perfect. Eventually, when you got super close, and like, you can kind of tell at some point. But like, it took me like fucking forever to figure out if that was a actual giraffe or not. But yeah, did you find it?
Yeah, it says over 10 million an episode.
I was gonna say it had to be like 100 mil.
Yeah.
That I can believe.
That makes me think probably like 10 or 11 or 12 million an episode.
Yeah.
9 episodes, so over 100.
I mean, look how good the world
the zombies were awesome.
Yeah.
The clickers.
The prosthetics, the infected, that's what they call them. Infected clickers, boomers.
But like, even the ones like when they were laying and they all turned over, and there was just like everything about the show was, especially the CGI and the cinematography, was awesome. The universe, they brought it to life very well. Even more so than like, this just looks so realistic. Like, Walking Dead has a lot of scenes where they're like traveling the countryside, but then always
they built in a system where it's like some dust on the road.
Yeah, like it's always like a back road, like, you know what I mean? Some farm, they find some gated community. Like, this one was like in Kansas City, in Boston.
Yeah,
we saw some tanks down there on the highway at all times. Like, so it's like, the CGI and like, or like
the
finding these
building.
closed down highways to do all this stuff is like awesome.
They had to build a lot. I'm pretty sure they built, like, they built that the sniper episode when they were escaping. It was episode 5, I think. They had to build, like, it was like an empty lot, and they built all those houses. They built them from scratch. So I mean, obviously the interiors weren't done, but they built all those houses because they wanted.
We can't get the homeless off the street.
They move in there. Be extras on The Last of Us. That's how you get it.
Yeah, they're all kind of like zombies.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was just so good in the world. Like, honestly, when I'm looking at it, like, I can't think of like a bad CGI. I think one that kind of stood out to me is when I think her name was Marley. They had like really similar names. She was like Marley, Marlene, Marie. Like, can we get like a Sasha in there, or like a Jane or something that just differentiate? But no, like with the revolutionist leader, when the baby jumped onto her, the baby infected that attacked her, that kind of looked a little weird. But even that, I mean, it's also, you're not used to seeing like an infected kid, so obviously you have to be like, whoa. So yeah, that was the only part that kind of shook me, but it was still obviously really good. But yeah, the world building in general, it just blew my mind. But all right, I've been intentionally avoiding it because I didn't want to miss any other points.
Yeah.
But obviously, the reason why this show did so good is because it didn't do what everyone else did and didn't have an ego trip like, oh, I'm better than the original source material. It stuck to it, and for, like we said earlier, is like it expanded on certain parts or tweaked a little bit for the sake of the story that's not in video game format, which I'm 100% okay with. We have no issue with that.
Yeah, like Bill's a perfect example. Like, it doesn't change anything. You giving us an episode about Bill's backstory. Yeah, we didn't get to see the Ellie interaction, but just like the timeline changed. So, but that didn't ruin anything. Same with like Henry, the thing with Henry and Sam and the reason why Henry and Sam were being chased. Like, it didn't hinder anything. It gave you time to make one extra episode. Yes. So I think that was a smart play by them. It's not trying to overthink it and just go with the flow.
Yeah. I wrote it all here. Is first thing they did was like I said earlier, that having Neil Druckmann on, they could have just said, "Oh, here, can you just give us the rights and tell him to fuck off?" But it had to be a meeting where Craig was like, "Hey, I need you."
Or
here.
like they just call you or show you and like kind of make you feel like you're part of it.
But no, based on the interaction, they did the podcast. Like he was on.
Yeah, he's probably really involved.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure they were sitting on they were talking about it on the podcast. He was still writing the show as the episodes they were shooting. So like it would change every episode. So it was interesting. Anyways, but another thing they did really well is they brought all of the OG characters back into the show from all the actors who were in the original video game. They all cameoed in. Unfortunately, except for Tess, she actually did pass away while the show was on. January 29th, she died of cancer. The actress who played Tess, her name was, where'd it go? Annie Wershing, so rest in peace to her.
R.I.P.
They did put an honor. When the episode dropped originally, they didn't have it, but they updated it. They put in honor of her, so that was her cameo, I guess. But obviously, we'll put Troy Baker. Shout out Troy. James, he was the cannibal, one of the cannibal members, like the right hand man of the leader. Ashley Johnson, she played Ellie in the game, and she also played Ellie's mom in the season finale. That was really cool. It was Anne. And then Merle Dandridge, played Marlene in the video game and in the show, which is actually super cool. Okay. I thought that was really cool. Just straight up, just give up. We don't know who else to cast. You're the best. Here you go. And Jeffrey Pierce, who played Tommy in the video game, was cast as Perry. He was again the right hand, or there was another right hand man, but he was with the revolutionist lady. And obviously they all had great deaths. Obviously Marlene stuck to the show. Ashley Johnson or Ellie didn't have like the best death. I mean, it made sense.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that scene she like giving birth.
It wasn't like crazy, but like it made sense for the
At
character.
the same time. That was cool.
Troy Baker, who plays Joel, obviously had the cool. He got killed by Ellie, which is kind of like a cool. That was like a cool, like little cathartic little thing there. And like we kept saying throughout this episode, they kept all of the importance. Oh, sorry. Tommy, or Jeffrey Pierce, got ripped in half by the boomer. The iconic way when you get grabbed by the face. So that was cool. Yeah, he got ripped in half by the boomer, and that was really cool. But yeah, that pretty much that's all the deaths. Yeah, I'm looking right here. Yeah, that's pretty much all they want. Obviously, Marlene's true to the video game. But yeah, we said this earlier in this episode. We keep seeing it. I'm gonna say it again. Is they've kept all of the important scenes in, like even shot for shot. I have a list here, but I'll let you.
The finale was
it was literally just ripped out.
Was like they did a little bit of talking at the beginning. You see the giraffe,
and
all that.
And
then it was like basically the final mission of the game, where like he wakes up, kills a guy, and then you like, and it was awesome because it was like a video game. It was like John Wick, where like him versus 100 guys, and he just kills all of them like you would do in the video game, like. Where like it don't make no sense, but like everyone played the mission, and where you're just like, oh, I'm gonna duck my head this way, pew pew pew, pick up another gun, pew pew pew. Like, I thought that part was really dope, and it still felt good too. Where like the slow mo and the blood and all that still felt realistic. It didn't feel like a video game, and like you could still feel the anger in Joel, like even when he pops the doctor, and then he just like executing people too. Like
he don't fucking care.
And then he like tells those two girl doctors to turn around. You're like, are you gonna shoot them too? Like,
oh yeah. I'll go into that scene actually right now. Is again with the cinematography, they could have, like you said, like they could have done a John Wick-esque thing and make it super loud, actually crazy quick shots. But all they did was literally focus on Joel. Didn't show the bodies. All they showed was the post carnage. Really, they showed the blood on the
shot.
Yeah,
but it was like a video game. It was like one shot, you're dead. One shot, you're dead. And I really like that. Normally, like I feel like normally they would just like they would have changed the end where like he stealthily got in there, maybe killed a guy or two, and like snuck his way and then snuck her out and maybe killed Marlene on the end. But like no, it was like a mission in the video game where like you start at the bottom level, you got to get to the end, and you got to kill everybody in between, and that was really dope. And that's what people wanted to see when they came to see it. They wanted to see the mission they did 2, 3, 4 times, and they wanted to see Pedro Pascal do it.
Yes, and it was just. I have like honestly no words just because they did it so well, and like it was a payoff too because we never like even when there was like that mini shootout and when they came into Kansas City, like we haven't really seen Joel be like a super super badass. But only time we saw it, two sequences that really sit in my head, and they made sure you paid attention to it, was the interrogation scene when he knew Ellie was captured. Like, he couldn't move. He was dying. Like he took every last breath to kill 5 guys.
Yeah.
It was 2% of Joel could take down 100% man. But that's him. And that just goes to show is again the overall theme of what are you gonna do for love? And he did not want to lose Sarah again. That's pretty much in his head. Is he didn't want to lose another daughter. So he's like, I will fucking kill every second person. Torture the guys. Oh, that was so cool. The torturing scene was brutal. He was like,
I love how they brought that back, or because they do it with the nicer family too, where he's like, you better point to the same place as your wife did, or I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And the old man's like, did you tell him the truth?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah. And then he does it again. He just fucking kills the guy.
Yeah.
You're like, holy shit!
It
just shows that Joel was also a good judge of character. He knew who I have to kill this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He knew those people from the cannibal cult. He had to kill them.
Yeah.
He couldn't let one go. Let them both go. They would have killed him as soon as the chance they got her. So, and it was nice to see he didn't kill that old Indian couple.
Yeah, they were cool.
Yeah,
they were so funny.
Yeah, that was really funny.
You fed them soup? Yeah, they were hungry. It's cold. Shit like that. Oh, that was a funny scene.
Yeah, I really like. That's one of my favorite scenes. Looking back, I just remember that because it was
the whole interaction.
It was really
hilarious.
wholesome. Yeah, the old lady was just like, "Yeah, what am I supposed to do?"
It was funny. It's they were cold. They're hungry. But yeah, no. And then obviously the whole. I think the finale is what really paid off because we saw, Joel being weak is because he's actually older in the show than the video. He's 56. In the show, and he's actually in it 50 or 51 in the video game. So it's 5 years apart. So that was a difference, and we just didn't see Joel be Joel because we were so used to playing him as this big badass shooting everyone down. But I guess in the video game, we really don't see that in the cinematics either. You're just him being badass. So it was cool to get that payout at the end and just showing how much of a fucking because it felt. You know what it reminded me of? That scene in Terminator 2 when he's walking down the hallway, tells John Connor to get down, the whole slow-mo. That's what it reminded me of, because he was Terminator, and also
it was like I said, it was like some video game shit.
Yeah,
it was literally some video game shit, but it was awesome that they actually did that. One of my, I always thought when they did the Max Payne movie, they should have Max Payne was just flying around shooting
slow-mo, yeah,
and it's they never did that in the movie one time. It's what the fuck, what was even the point of making this movie then?
Yeah. No, with and also you said 2 nurses. I want to bring up the fact there were 3 in there. There was 2 in the front, and then one little older girl in the back tucked away.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, I was paying attention because obviously we know. I'm not going to go too much into Last of Us 2 just for the sake of the show. For people who want to watch the series ongoing, don't want to get too much spoilers. But I mean, but there was 3 nurses in there. 2 were in the front, but 1 was tucked in the back a little bit, and I feel like that's going to be a big part. You know how the story goes in Last of Us 2.
But he didn't kill any of them, right?
No, but he killed the doctor.
Yeah.
And the doctor is a big part of Last of Us Part 2. So, yeah, and then actually I want to discuss some Easter eggs. Dina was that. Remember that when they were at the went to Tommy's group, and that was that little Indian girl standing there, and looked at Ellie and ran away.
Yeah,
that was Dina. When obviously younger, because in Last of Us Part 2 she's a teenager, older. So that was Dina, and then they had.
How do you know they said that? You saw them on the podcast? Or something?
Yeah, it was a cam. I looked like I was like, that's Dina, because it looked like her clothes and her face and everything. And then they also did confirm it. She's wearing
the same clothes 5 years before.
Yeah, I mean it's cameo. Yeah, I mean Ellie was pretty much too. But then also Ellie's horse. It was like Shimmer or something like that. Or Shimmer, and that's what it was. The horse's name in the video game in Part 2, and then also in the show, obviously. Yeah. So they're doing a lot of Easter eggs setting up. So when I saw those 2 cameras, they're gonna have to do something at the end because that's such an integral part, and they did, and I made sure. And so rewatch it when you see it. You'll see it. But I like this take too, by the way, where it showed Joel's morals were shut off for this whole scene.
Yes,
all it was like
3 different people were like, please don't kill me, and surrendered. And he was like, bow.
Yeah, he's like,
I really thought he was going to shoot the nurses.
I honestly thought so too. I was like, hey man, they're fine.
See you later.
But yeah, any ounce of kind of even not even there. Some people were even threats. Joel could have shot that guy in the knee, the doctor, but he didn't. He's like, oh, knife, bye. Where is she? Oh, you on her? Thank you.
I think he was that the same reason why he killed Marlene. Whereas like if the doctor knew she was alive, he would never. He would tell everybody there's a girl out there. I need her.
Yeah, and it was all for protecting Ellie. That's what it really was, and I agree with that. It was just so cool. Pedro Pascal like really added like an element to the story that you couldn't in the video game with the emotion. Actually, the emotional expressions he was showing. He was just like a dead man. There's like, unhook her. He's like, I'm not like unhook her. He's like, they're like, okay, well, we'll fucking unhook her. But yeah, it just. Pedro Pascal, and at first I was like, oh, he's not really giving me Joel vibes. I wasn't hating on him. I was like, I really want to see that, because he didn't have the voice of it, which is I know stupid. I don't know, it felt too southern to me, but I mean, it wasn't really a big effect for me, obviously. I was nitpicking. It didn't bother me at all, but I was like, oh, it'd be cool to hear a little more southern twang, which he kind of did. But regardless, it was a cool take on Joel, and I'm kind of trailing on the finale too much, but I do want to bring up other scenes that they did shot for shot. When Ellie finds the adult magazine at Bill's, that was like shot for shot. He's like, whoa, how does that thing fit there? And then throws it out. It was like shot for shot. And then obviously the Kansas City rating. I was in Pittsburgh though in the video game, but it doesn't matter. So that was a big part of it. Like shot for shot was like the same scene. And then the intro scene when episode 1, when they were escaping the town, was like shot for shot. Like I remember watching, they actually dropped it too online before the show started. It was like part of the trailer. It was like they legit shot for shot, like side by side, and that was really cool. And then obviously Sarah's death was shot for shot. And then the giraffe feeding scene, like the whole when the ladder dropped, and that was cool too. I want to bring that up real quick. Is when remember you played the game and the whole part was like, oh, we got to boost Ellie up, and then it was a cool payoff in the finale too. We finally got to see that payoff, drop the ladder. That was a cool little tidbit there. For the video game, but then the whole scene with chasing the giraffe down.
I thought that was fun. They hadn't done that at all yet.
No, yeah, that was cool because they were doing these homages to like the whole game. And then, I said Joel's interrogation with the cannibals, Sam and Henry.
I mean, the cannibals were weird to go on that. That was my favorite episode. And that was that guy like trying to marry her.
Yes.
Like, okay, I was just making sure. In the game, he was like, it's more clear, right? I can't remember, but in the thing, he's just being vague. Like, he's like, we can rule them, and I'm like, what is happening right now?
So in the game, it was more so he just wanted to take advantage of her. And again, we have to say certain words. He wanted to take advantage of her towards the end of it. He did have an intrigue to her, but it wasn't. I think it was a little more clear in the show than the game. Like, you didn't know until the whole steakhouse scene when it was all burning down, like kind of got an idea there. But yeah, no, and the show was a lot more creepier. I think maybe it was in person too, which made it the element. But yeah, no, he was weird. He was a lot weirder.
That guy was intense. I was gonna say I like that the part where he slaps that girl, but it was just like, what the hell?
Because it started off as like, oh, how's this guy a bad guy? Never mind.
He was being all loving, and then she's like, oh, I want to do something. And he was like, come back here, and he's just like, wow. I was like, whoa, chill out, bro. So the person they ate was that girl's dad too, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what it was. Okay. Yeah. Because in the show,
because she's like, I want to bury him, and he's like, we will when it's warmer.
Ground's warm, when the ground's not as hard, which was like, it made sense. Like, I fell for it. Yeah. But I was like, I know where this is going, but like, it makes sense as a reasonable thing. But if you notice too, only a select people knew. So like, you saw.
Him and Troy Baker, right?
Yeah, knew, and so like you could saw like Troy like going like the whole squid like a little bite team when they were having their meal prior to Ellie getting there or anything like that. But you saw everyone was chowing down because they just believed it was venison or something. But you saw Troy Baker's like, I don't want to eat this. And then one other guy was like, and then, but obviously the cannibal guy was all for it too. But yeah, that was just a great episode. Ellie killed it. Bella Ramsey. I honestly think sitting back, I truly think she captured Ellie better than Pedro Pascal captured Joel.
Yeah, she was like just like her.
Yeah, like it felt like it was like straight.
I just think they were playing to Pedro Pascal's strength. They didn't pick him to be a hard ass. He's more of a. That's why you know what I mean.
He has great range.
Yeah, him and Baby Yoda. So it's like he's like the what I mean. He's got a heart. He's got a heart. Yeah, more of a fatherly, and so I think that was better. And the girl like that plays in that girl. Her strengths are Ellie's strengths. Yeah, where like it worked perfectly.
Bella Ramsey.
where she plays a foul-mouthed little girl and other shit too. So she was.
Did you know Game of Thrones was her first job ever?
Yeah, and that was fire.
Yeah,
she was really good in that.
Imagine being on HBO, being on 2 of their biggest shows. Just like cut the check. That's awesome.
Yeah,
though.
She's gonna have a crazy career. I'm guessing moving forward. Yeah.
Oh yeah. She's like back to back. She's like, well, hire me. You know how it is out here with me. Come on now. Yeah. You want a hit show? Hit me up. But yeah, no. Because I was sitting back, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I was more blown away by her performance because like there were certain scenes that she had to push out, and her deliverance had everything. I'll actually bring it up right here. You have no idea what loss is when he was about to give Ellie to Tommy to take her the rest of the way, and it wasn't like that, or it was exactly like that when it got to that part. And I mean, Pedro delivers the role fine, but I felt a lot more emotion from Bella Ramsey's side.
Yeah.
And it just.
I mean, yeah, she was. There, like I said, even when Joel was sick.
Yeah, I was about to say that was when I really saw it.
Her trying to protect them. She's like, over here, fuckers. Or whatever. I forgot. And then like Troy Baker shoots her off the horse.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
My God, I was like, oh my God, that had to hurt.
Like knocks her out with a gun.
Yeah, I was like, what's this? She's like 12. What are we doing? Like, you just punch her once. You have to fucking.
And then they're about to kill her, right? And then the guy stops them.
Yeah.
And then he wants to make her his wife.
Yeah.
It was very strange.
Yeah. He wanted to have.
It was cool, like her being a badass, because she broke his finger, right? She broke one of his fingers,
and then like he slammed her against the bar. Like, yeah. What's with you with these kids lately, like guy? But yeah, no, that's where I really saw her shine. That and then it was episode 2. One of my favorite, and it stands by one of my favorite lines ever in the show so far, or I'd say for season 1 was. When she asked Joe's like, hey, can I have a gun? Tess and Joe's like, no. And she's like, fine, I guess I'll just throw my fucking sandwich at them. Like, shit like that. I was like, what the fuck? It was like shit like that was like hilarious to me. Because that's exactly what Ellie would say. It just the Bella Ramsey just blew my mind. And I truly have nothing but respect for her performance. And I am very excited to see the next 2 seasons, by the way, because it got renewed for season 2. Obviously, it's going to get season 3 because they did say that Last of Us Part 2 they're going to take over for 2 seasons, which is good. I agree with that because I cut this part. That's why I cut. Sean said a spoiler. I don't want you guys to know because it is a big part. But Last of Us Part 2 is going to go into 2 seasons because it is such a big story.
Because Ellie was a ghost the whole time.
What's wrong with you? I hate you. But no, just with the Last of Us Part 2, the video game, the reason it sucked was because you played 10 hours of a character that no one liked, and that was the issue. But I think The Last of Us Part 2, the story I think will be 30 times better for an actual screen.
If they expand on the right parts and tell us. Like,
I think it'll be better for the screen.
Yeah.
And so I think the next
just like a lot more is going on. This one was like they were just like roamers roaming around.
Yeah.
Like, every other episode they get into some shit.
But this one's a lot more different, and I do agree that it should be 2 seasons because there is a lot to unpack, and I think it'll hit a lot more. But yeah, I mean, I don't have much. I'm looking here. I already said the cameos. Do you have anything else to say, Sean? Hey, bud.
No. But like I said, just kudos to them. I hope people who are going to be remaking even books, video games, everything, take heed. And just do what the game was. Like we talked about this with Reacher. It's like, maybe half the population will find Reacher corny, but the people who like Reacher don't find it corny. It's like, make the show for them. People, Last of Us got a good fan base. Just make it for them. And if other people don't like it, who cares? You got a good group of people who are passionate about your thing
the shit out of
and are going to support it. And then you just do that. And like you make other shows for other people. You don't have to. Every show doesn't have to be all inclusive. It was a game. If they wanted to play it, they could have played it. Now you don't now that you're making a TV show, you don't have to make it all inclusive. No, they didn't play your game 10 years ago. They don't get to dictate what your show is going to be about now. They have no say. And just make the game, like I said, and the finale was awesome. Anybody who played the game, it was literally the final mission.
Shot for shot.
Like shot for shot, the final mission of the game. And it was awesome to see that like brought to the big screen and like Pedro Pascal to put his spin on it. But it was literally the same thing. Like just beginning to end. And I think that we're paying homage to the game where it's like the game was dope. It was already perfect. We don't need to change the ending.
No.
Everyone loved the ending, so we didn't need to change it. And I think that's what they were basically showing everybody. You don't need to change it. No. It was perfect how it was.
You can adjust it a little bit for cinematography.
Yeah, or like your job is to do the backstory and
Yeah.
like make it mean even more now that
Yeah.
you're doing, like you said, where it was like this even bigger, like how far you go, or like
Yeah.
Pedro was Pascal was a little different than Joel in the game, where he was a softie at times, and
Yeah.
like this is where he snapped. Like the Joel in the game, we knew he was going to do that.
Yeah.
Like you knew, like he was just going to kill
From
everybody.
day one, yeah.
And this show, he kind of had this different thing where like we knew he was going to save Ellie, but we didn't know he was going to do it like that.
Yeah.
And he still did it. And like I said, they paid homage to the game, and it was awesome.
Yeah. What would you rate it?
I give it a 10.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's my favorite show, but like I said, I'm judging it off what it's supposed to be. And like I said, I don't think there was anything bad about it. I think it was a perfect show. Especially like I said, they did their due diligence and they just brought the game to life. And I don't have anything bad. I thought it was a perfect show. It was a hit for HBO Max.
Yeah.
And gives me a lot of hope for Fallout.
Oh yeah, they are doing that. Yes, but Cameron's about to die here shortly, so I'll wrap up quick. The finale was phenomenal. They stuck true to the story. I will give this. The story started with Joel being a hard ass and not smiling, and Ellie always smiling. Then in the finale, we kind of saw a moment briefly where Ellie wasn't smiling and Joel was always smiling, making her like break out of her shell, obviously for the traumatic experience she went prior episode. But all in all, is like they captured it perfectly, and I am very excited for the next few seasons and what they got to show. I would give this show a 9.8 just for two reasons and two reasons only. We never got to see a single bottle or brick thrown to distract a clicker, which I thought was lame. And then obviously, like I said earlier, we never got to see Bill and Ellie interact, which was my two big points. I wish if they did the last, then they could have thrown a bottle once. I wish I saw that. I'm being nitpicky, but I wish we got to see a bottle thrown or and the interaction between Ellie and Bill. Those are my only two negatives for the show. But like I said, obviously it didn't affect the show for me at all.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I thought it was a little weird. They built Bill up just so much just to not even have a scene with Ellie. But like I said, I think they realized what a good job they did of like building up his backstory, and they like gave him his due in the show because they didn't want to just be like, well, like do an awesome thing, then Bill and Ellie come, and then then be like, oh well, they're just there, and nothing happens. So I think they kind of wanted to like show him dying,
finish the story arc properly.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at it 100%. I'm slightly,
but I do agree. I did want to see like Ellie get under his skin.
Yeah, because Nick Offerman definitely would have ate that shit up too. It would be like him and April. Like,
Ron. That's a good. Ron. Like he's already good at like no nonsense. Like playing like a hard ass when like kids are being goofy.
But that is it for this episode, guys. If you did enjoy The Last of Us, do us a favor, leave a like right now, subscribe down below, follow us on TikTok and Instagram. Also, comment down below what you thought about the show, how good it did compare to contrast from the video game to the show. Are you excited for the next season?
And can you beat Tom in the game?
You definitely can. I'll crease your ass any day, any week with one hand, one finger, one nail on my finger. All right? So back up, subscribers. You will get creased. But other than that, I'm Tom. This is Sean, and we'll see you guys next episode. Take care.